Well, hi there. Oh, I'm Colin Lamb, aka the Tone Wizard, and I hope you're doing very well wherever it is that you may happen to be. As you can clearly see, I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. And welcome to Ween Talk episode 34, in which I'm going to give you my review of the pod. In the previous Ween Talk episode I reviewed God, Ween, Satan. Oh, look at this friggin' pour, man. God damn it. Actually, I've heard that this is good for your stomach because the gas is released. You don't bloat up like a disgusting gas orb and flood your apartment with noxious gas if you drink it like this. But I personally don't like it like this. I want everything that's in the can to get inside of me. I digress. I did a review of God, Ween, Satan, and it changed my mind. And I previously said on the channel that I'm not a big fan of the pod, so maybe my mind has changed since giving this thing a thorough listen. I don't know, but I do want to also thank the new subscribers who've come to the channel. If you're a new subscriber, maybe let me know in the comments why you subscribed, and if it's Ween, if you've got an idea for a future episode, please let me know. And by all means, share your thoughts or your differences of opinion as we go through this album. Also, stick around till the end of the episode because I'm going to be sharing a cover from the pod. So yeah, as I drink this horrible beer, actually this looks like a cartoon beer, whatever, I don't care. Classic frosty fucking brew sip. At any rate, I'm gonna let that fucking settle down for a sec. Released in September the 20th of 1991, way back when the Tone Wizard was just 6 or 7 years old. It's Ween's second commercial release, and the album cover is a retooling of the 1975 Leonard Cohen Greatest Hits album. If you look at the liner notes of this thing, which I did, and they're very interesting because I think they sum up a lot of the introduction to this album and a little bit of the backstory in the band's own words. This is kind of back in the day when liner notes they meant something. I always like to open up a CD or an old record or even a cassette tape and look through those notes and see what bands had written, and I was always very amused when they put something interesting, like this little synopsis provided by Dean Ween. So I'll read that to you now. Recorded by Dean and Jean Ween on a Tascam 4-track cassette recorder between January and October of 1990, all songs recorded at the pod where we lived for a year and 10 months with our cat Mandy. The pod was scenically located on Fansant Road in Salisbury Township, Pennsylvania. Our apartment was a haven for flies because it sits in the middle of a horse farm. In the time this album was completed, we filled up 3,600 hours of tape and inhaled 5 cans of Scotchgard. This album was then produced and mixed by Andrew Weiss, our pal, at Zion House of Flesh, Hopewell, New Jersey. Straight to Dat Mang. Mean Ween, who I think is Andrew Weiss, played bass on Alone, and that's him on the cover doing up some Scotchgard powered bongs. We got evicted on October 1st, 1991, but Dave Ayers says he's going to help us out. Cover and art designs by Logo Rhythms. So I believe Dave Ayers is the guy who signed Ween to their original record deal that they did God, Ween, Satan with. I could be wrong there. Correct me if I'm wrong. So there is actually a very good synopsis right in the liner notes there. They basically explain that this record was just recorded by the two of them on a Tascam 4-track, and I actually kind of was curious about that, so I looked up the information, any information I could find on that, and what I found was that they used either a Tascam Porta 3 or 4, and I actually thought I would look at and see what one of these costed online these days, because I remember my brother buying one for $50 from a pawn shop and making a bunch of horrible tapes on that thing, but the one that I saw on reverb.com was like $500 or $600, which is ridiculous because you can get a pretty decent laptop and some recording software for that cost. I don't know why anybody would record to tape. I remember how frustrating it was. It was cool to do at the time, but I personally think if Ween were that age now, they'd probably be using a laptop, and God knows what they'd be coming up because the technology has gone so far. Another interesting tidbit in the liner notes is the use of a Scotchgard powered bong. Now, I had heard the urban rumors and the myths, and of course you can see it right on the album, that they'd huffed Scotchgard while they were recording this. Now, I don't know what anybody would get out of huffing Scotchgard. If you've huffed Scotchgard, please, I want to have you on the show. We're going to do an hour-long interview. It'll be fantastic. If you know anything about huffing Scotchgard, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about that. But the key term, I think, is Scotchgard powered bong. So maybe they were using the Scotchgard to, enhance the delivery of the weed in the bong. I don't know. I stopped smoking weed a long time ago, and I've yet to start huffing Scotchgard. So please let me know what I'm missing out on there. So in those liner notes, we do get the key pieces of information about how it was recorded, where it was recorded, and we understand that it's being mixed by Andrew Weiss, who of course would go on to collaborate with Ween for, as far as I know, on all of their other studio albums. And we also get the tip about the Scotchgard. Another thing I had famously heard about this album is that Dean and Ween contracted mononucleosis. Another thing that I've yet to try. If you've got a mono story, let me know in the comments. So I thought I would look up some information on that, and I found a Consequences of Sound article that I will put a link to, and there's this passage right here. Diener and Jeaner suffered through mono together, which is awfully cute, and the album contains ample evidence of their sickly camaraderie. The brotherly well wishes on mononucleosis. The classic Ween banter that peppers the Stallion Part 2, quote, Diener, Diener, where can you be? Come hither, end quote. Even their hellish duet on She Fucks Me, which I imagine would have been delivered through sinus congestion and exhaustion in a sickbed caked with mucus. Elsewhere, that camaraderie seems to manifest itself in a fascination with the 70s prog rock bombast, right to the ways and the rules of the world. So evidently the mono had an influence perhaps beyond just the one song Mononucleosis. Now back to the Scotchgard thing, because that always was something that I'd heard. Yeah, I thought I would just go to Reddit whenever I want to find out something that's maybe not going to be included on Wikipedia or any kind of official interview. I go to Reddit, and you know what? Some of it might be bullshit, some of it maybe not. Don't know, don't care, but I found a little article that actually has a picture of what I believe to be Andrew Weiss with the Scotchgard huffing / powered bog machine on his face, and they were talking about it. So a number of people seem to confirm that it is Scotchgard, and the liner notes definitely suggest that they were definitely huffing Scotchgard. Other people have said it was nitrous, and one commenter says, I've also heard the mechanism was rigged to be a nitrous-powered bong rip machine, though I don't know how true that is. And yeah, there's basically, the main idea is that maybe they were huffing Scotchgard, maybe not, but there's also a comment in here that said that they revoked the statement years later when they found out that their fans were trying it. There's another idea that maybe they were just trying to be funny. Who knows? If you have an interesting take on that, please get at me in the comments. Now, let's get into what I consider to be the highlights of this album. And when I say highlights of this album, I mean the things on the album that sound good to me, because a lot of these songs have gone on to have a much bigger production and life in the live setting. But before I get into that, let's just talk about my personal favorites on the album. Would have to be Dr. Rock. My tribute band plays it. It's fantastic. If you want to see that, maybe I'll chop. I think we have a video of that I can share on the channel if you'd like. Frank, I think, is a good song. It has a good groove to it. I like the ragged double guitars in there. Captain Fantasy is definitely a good one. The Stallion Parts 1 and 2 appear on there, and I cannot hate any part of the full Stallion suite. Don't Sweat It, I think, is a great track. Again, it's one that's gone on to have a pretty good live life as well. And Pork Roll, Egg and Cheese is a classic, and those ones sound good to me. Those are ones that I would revisit if I was going to have a listen to this album again. But in all honesty, has my overall opinion changed of the pod having listened to it a couple more times? I would say no, probably not. This isn't something that I'm going to listen to over and over again. Certainly not in its entirety, but that's okay, because there's lots of great music. There's lots of great Ween that I do enjoy and that I will listen to again. And there's lots of great albums that I've yet to review. So stay tuned to my channel, because I will be going through every major Ween release going forward from this point. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, if you want to check out some of my other stuff, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you feel like it. But also stay tuned for the cover, which is going to be coming up right
Pork roll, egg and cheese, would you please, with some baby? bacon, egg, and cheese with my peas with some greedy fries. What I'm talking about. Get greasy.